Hello fellow book lovers, my name is Giselle and welcome to the Adventures of Giz. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read because of their movie or TV series adaptations. Many of the books I've read have been because of how much I enjoyed their movies or their TV series before I even thought about reading the books, so here is my list. First up, we have the most predictable book on this list, and that is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So I used to love Harry Potter the movies as a child, and I did not like reading, so it was not a thing for me to go ahead and read the books. And when I turned 16, I found a copy of Harry Potter in the garage, and I literally sat on the floor of my garage and I read half of the book right then and there. I just remember loving the movies so much, and they were kind of like, when I saw the book, I decided to just give them a try. And I did not regret it because I love these movies and I love these books. Next up, we have our only TV series adaptation on this list, and that is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Now, A Game of Thrones, I read this book, I think, immediately after the second season was released. I had a nice long holiday. It took me about a week to read just non-stop. I did not, my family made food and everything that week because I was just trying to finish this as quick as I could. So it took a week of non-stop reading for me to finish it. And it was a really good book. It's almost pretty much exactly like the TV series. Well, the first book is. I never actually carried on reading the series because I decided to read it once all the books have been released. So I'm probably gonna wait another 10 years. Next up, we have another book that I really, really loved the movie for, even though it is, let's just accept it. Book to movie adaptations are not always good, but sometimes they're just so fun to watch, so why not? And that is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. So Percy Jackson was just such a lovely movie, and when I decided to start reading and actually get into reading, it was one of the second books I picked up, I think, straight after Harry Potter. It was just such a lovely, funny read. I love the series so much. I really actually want to do a reread soon. But yeah, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Next up, we have one that not everybody is going to like my opinion on this. That is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. And I adore the series. This book is amazing. And I actually just rewatched the movie with my best friend, and when we were watching it, I warned her, I was like, this movie, it is trash, but it is amazing trash. It is something, it is one of my feel-good movies, so I watch it all the time. Literally, I think I watch it once every 3 months. Whenever I'm in a bad mood, I just put on Vampire Academy, and it does not fail to make me laugh and make me happy, and I just love it so much. And I know everybody hates the movie, so I don't think it's very good. Like I said, I think it's trash, but amazing trash. Why not? And I think immediately after, I think it was the same day that I watched the movie, I went to the bookstore, got the first 4 books, and I think I read them within 2 weeks. It was amazing. I love this book. It is still one of my favorites. It's still on my top 10 favorites list, and I will always make space for Vampire Academy in my life. I love it. Next up, we have one that I also went and got the day that I watched the movie, and that is The Maze Runner. And as soon as the movie came out, I immediately went to go watch it because I'm a little bit obsessed with Dylan O'Brien because of Teen Wolf. Yes, I love Teen Wolf too. And as soon as I finished watching the movie, I was like, that was really good. I'm totally going to go buy the book. James Dashner is a great writer, and he just knows how to do really good plot points, and I just love the writing. It's awesome. It's actually an awesome series. I really would also love to reread it. I'd love to reread all of these just because I think that all books deserve a reread. Next up, we have I Am Number 4, and obviously I watched the movie because of Alex Pettyfer, and as soon as I finished watching it, I was like, this is really cool. I like this idea. I think I read the first 5 books. I'm not 100% sure because books have gotten lost over the years, and I feel like I'm missing two of the books that I've read in the series. I really, it's also one of those movies that I watch even though it's really terrible. Like, I still watch it for fun because it's a really fun movie, and I loved these books. They were just so amazing, and obviously my favorite character was Sam. Next up, we have Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. Now, the Beautiful Creatures movie was also just, it's one of my most of these actually are my feel-good movies. I mean, I watch them because it doesn't matter how bad the movie is or how much, like, I love everything. I'm just one of those people, like, anything that entertains me, I can love it immediately. And Beautiful Creatures was such a fun movie, so I went and I picked up the book, and I really enjoyed it. I've never actually carried on reading the series, but I do have the entire series now, and I'd love to read them. I actually am feeling in quite a witchy mood lately, so maybe I'll read it in the next 2 months. Next, we have one that comes as no surprise to anyone who knows me, and that is The Hunger Games. I actually weirdly don't remember if I read The Hunger Games before the movies or after them. So I actually think that the first time I read this was after the movie came out. I borrowed all the books from one of my classmates, and he was obsessed with them, and then he gave them all to me, and I read them also, like, I think it was also like a week or something ridiculous like that. I just thought it was so weird. The blurb on this specific cover is from Stephen King. That's so strange. I never thought Stephen King would be putting his blurb on a YA book. Oh well, really interesting anyway. I loved these movies actually. They were quite good. I think they were quite accurate to the book. There were obviously like little tidbits and little things that people who loved the books kind of missed when they were filming the movies, but I genuinely think that these were quite good movies from the books. The next book is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Now, this is the only movie I will tell you that I have only watched twice. The first time I thought it was good. I was also like really young, so keep that in mind. The second time I watched it was after I read the first book, and I realized how bad it was. I mean, I absolutely love Lily Collins, so I was completely obsessed with her at that age. And then the book was really good, and I read it really quickly, but the movie was really bad. And then when Shadowhunters was adapted to Netflix, I binge watched it. I think I've watched Shadowhunters 3 or 4 times through and through. It is not the greatest acting, but it is just such a great story. That is the only reason I keep on watching it, is because the story is so amazing. And also because Alec and Magnus, because that is just an amazing, like, their relationship is one of my favorite things about these books. And also, I just want to say thanks to the movie for making me watch this, because if it wasn't for the movie making me watch City of Bones, I probably would never have read The Infernal Devices, and I love The Infernal Devices. So yes, thank you, movie. Even though I don't think you're that great, I think you really got me into a series and a world that I love. Next up, we have a purely South African book, and I am South African. If you didn't know that, there it is. And it is called Spud. This is actually either the second or the third book, I'm not sure which one. Spud is a book by John van der Reet, and in this we follow a boy who goes to a boarding school in quite a big, like, really expensive boarding school in South Africa. And it is just such a fun series. If you haven't read Spud and you just feel like reading something set in somewhere you don't know, if you're not from South Africa, that is, like, if you are from South Africa, I'm pretty sure you know Spud. If you aren't from South Africa and you don't know what Spud is, I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, the movie was pretty big. I mean, it was Joy Sivan was Spud, and I think John Cleese was one of the teachers. So it's quite a big movie, and if you haven't watched it, give it a try. I mean, it is just such a fun movie to watch, and these books made me want to go to boarding school. But you know, just the fun vibes of going to boarding school and just all the mischief and nonsense that they get up to here is just amazing. I absolutely love it. Next up, we have one that I weirdly enjoyed the movie more than I enjoyed the book, and that is Northern Lights, and the movie adaptation, which was The Golden Compass. There is actually an HBO TV series being created and it will be coming out soon, and I'm really excited for it because the HBO series looks really, really good. I did not like this book that much just because it was really heavy when I was reading it. I mean, I was busy reading I was reading these books at the time, and even though this is considered a children's book, I do not think that it is easy for children to read. I mean, it's the same as The Hobbit. I read The Hobbit when I was in grade 8 and I struggled so hard, and it was supposed to be a children's book. Sometimes I don't understand authors. I'm like, this is not a children's book. It might have children's themes and it's like an adventure, but like the underlying tones in the story are really not dark. But yeah, dark, yeah. But it is quite an interesting read, so if you have read it and loved it, don't be upset with me for not liking it as much as you did. But it just wasn't for me. And yeah, but I love the movie and I'm really excited for the HBO series. Next, we have Divergent. Yes, I did read this because of the movie, and yes, I did like the books, and no, I did not like the movies. So it was a really good time for me to be getting into reading because all the really good books were being adapted into movies, and it was just a good time to start reading in general. So when I read Divergent, like, I very clearly remember loving these books. I never read Allegiant though, but the first 2 books were amazing. I loved them so much. And the movie adaptations weren't bad. They weren't like the best, in my opinion. I really just did love the book so much more. And then last we have, of course, we have Twilight. I read Twilight. As you can see, this book is really old. So my story with Twilight is a little bit weird. I was 12 years old, yeah. I was 12 when the movie came out, I think 12? I don't know. And my sister was reading the whole series. One of her friends had borrowed the whole series to her, so she was reading it like really quickly. And as soon as she finished New Moon, we just watched the movie together. So I was like, I've watched this movie not just once, I think I watched it like 10 times. I've watched this movie so many times, I'm just gonna skip the first book and go straight onto the second one. So I started with New Moon as soon as she was done with it. And weirdly, I have never ever actually read the first book in the Twilight series. And that is so strange to me because who skips a book because you watched the movie? 12-year-old me apparently thought that was okay, but whatever. I just think it is so strange that I have never read this book. And I adored the series. I think I read them like 5 times. I read it 5 times. I did. And I completely remember being obsessed with this, and I had finished all the books like as soon as the first one came out. So as the others were coming out, I was like rereading them every single time one of the movies was released. And this was probably the first books I ever read voluntarily. I do have a very nostalgic love for it, and I can't blame 12-year-old me because I would love to reread these and see if I still, they were never on my favorites list. When I wrote my favorites list, I think it was in 2017, it was really funny because they didn't even make an appearance, even though technically I read them the most out of all my books except Harry Potter. So my nostalgic little love for Twilight, there it is, there's my little story. I must say, I did not hate these books. I really, really liked them actually. I did not like the movies at all, even though I remember sitting in the movie house for New Moon, and when Jacob took his shirt off, everybody in the movie house, including me, started cheering. We were cheering because a man took his shirt off in a movie. It was the weirdest moment, now that I look back on it. Like, we had so many weird movie house moments during the Twilight saga. Like, it was just so strange. But I really genuinely, it brings back good memories for me. So there we have all of the books that I have read because of their movie or TV series adaptation. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. and leave a comment down below to let me know which books you read because of their movie adaptations. I hope you have an amazing day.